And I'll start by saying welcome. It's really exciting to be here today. So the overview of this session is, as you know, this is Annette's final diploma accreditation event, and I'm just going to shortly introduce her. Then Annette will share her diploma journey with you for about 40 minutes or so, and then we've got time for about 15 minutes or so of questions. So if anything comes up for you as you go along, do make a note of them. The first people to get a chance will be the people who are going to be in the peer review group. And if you're in the peer review group, you should have received an email from me either yesterday or 20 minutes ago. And the peer review group at the end will stay in this room, and then everyone else will leave and jump onto room 1 for the final session of the day. So today, as you know, is a celebration of Annette's work through the diploma, which can sometimes be a lonely process, but she's done really, really well and sticking with it, and she's completed the whole diploma in a fairly short time frame. So I'm really excited to be here at the end of Annette's diploma journey. Well, this one, I was at the beginning and end of it as well, so the end of the previous one. Annette and I first met in August 2020. When she attended the Introduction to Engaging Children in Permaculture course with Nim Robbins and me. And then she went on and did the Children in Permaculture Practitioners course over several months with me and Gaia. And there was these 2 designs that we support people to do in that course. And so Annette was invigorated enough to decide to continue and do the rest of the diploma, even though actually she already had a diploma through a different diploma system in America. And she's been a really dedicated designer and has created 10 permaculture designs which fully meet the accreditation criteria for the Diploma in Applied Permaculture Design. So I've just been delighted to know Annette over the last few years, and I'm very impressed with the work she's done throughout her diploma permaculture journeys. So I'm excited to see what Annette will be sharing with us today from her diploma journey. Over to you, Annette.
Thank you, Lucy. Do I have power to share?
You should have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Okay. And I'm not in the right one. There we are.
We're looking at your Zoom. That's the one.
Okay. Can you see that now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so again, thank you all for being here today. I appreciate so much that you have given me this hour. And I hope that I can give you something back in return to go home with today. As Lucy said, I did do another diploma. It was actually not through an organization. It was on my own with a mentor, and it was entitled Unlearn, because that was where I was on my journey, was that need to unlearn so much so that I could learn new things and move forward. And at the end of that is about the time I met Lucy. And I realized there was still so much more that I wanted to unlock. And so it was just natural that I titled this diploma Unlock. It was also about me going into my next chapter. And in my mind, there was always a gate that I needed to get past, and so that I could explore my next chapter. And I don't know why, but I'm very visual. And so it's always been about a gate. So you'll see a lot of gates throughout my presentation, and you'll hear a lot of references to that. I actually teach using the gate as a metaphor and a measurement tool at this point. So for whatever reason, it's about the gate. So my goal was to dive deep into design methodology and all of those things. And so I'm excited to share my story with you. And it doesn't want to go. There we go. Okay, so a little bit about who am I. First and foremost, I'm a mother, and I have 2 beautiful daughters, and that are grown. One lives with me, one lives in California. And then I have two beautiful grandsons who I have raised for the past 5 years, but I'm now co-parenting with my daughter. And they're much more than my grandsons. So I often say I have 4 kids. And so they are all 4 the loves of my life. I'm also an artist. I have always been a designer, and whether it was designing homeschool curriculum, I've been homeschooling for about 24 years, or whether it was when I was a costume designer, and then I was a fabric artist. And I used these 2 pictures of my daughters because these trash and fashion dresses were 2 of the hardest artistic exercises that I've done. And I learned so much through those. So I wanted to include them because they are part of who I am. I am also an adventurer. And by that, I mean, I'm always striving to connect with a forest, with nature, specifically a forest, connect with cultures, and connect with different climate zones. And so I love to travel. I do a lot of camping with the boys and a lot of hiking, and then travel to see my daughter in California. And I see that as an investment. So it's that balance between what's best for the ecosystem and what's best for my relationships with my daughter. So but anyway, that's a little bit about who I am. And then why a diploma, and how did I get here today? For those of you who are unfamiliar with the diploma, there are 10 designs, and I chose half land-based designs and half people-based. People-based meaning an event, a class, or an inner journey, which is considered a Zone 00 design, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. I really wanted, like I said earlier, to learn more about the design methodology. I wanted to practice with several different frameworks, learn more about the tools, and most importantly, really capture the meaning and feeling of what the ethics and principles mean, how they tell the story, and how they guide me. And I feel like I've done that. And I'm in a completely different place with all of those today than I was when I started. So the first design, I'm just going to briefly go through these, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about 3 of them. The action pathway here in the middle was the very first. It actually wasn't, because I was working with the children of permaculture, but it's considered the first design. And it helps to explain my vision for what I want out of the diploma, and kind of my prediction of how it's going to look, what designs I think I'm going to do. And then it, of course, evolves throughout the diploma. And I think there's 3 versions in there of what it was going to look like, because I kept growing and my knowledge kept growing. And so I wanted to know more and more, which is part of the journey. I find that with all the questions I have, at some point they get answered, but then I have just a whole nother list of questions. So I just keep going. So the 2 designs that I did with children in permaculture, where I met Lucy and Gaia, was Secret Garden and Build a Bug Hotel. Those designs needed to be one land-based and one course for children. And so obviously you can tell which is which, but they were a lot of fun. And I got to do those with the boys, so that was really great. After that, I took the Cultural Emergence Effective Design course with Libby McNamara, because I wanted to learn more about her design web, and which I did, and I love, and I use it all the time for all kinds of things. And so Whimsical Healing was all about bringing art into the garden and giving myself permission to be an artist, and encouraging my clients to give themselves permission to be an artist and to bring that in and to blend that with the nature that they're designing, because we are nature. And so we should be able to give back to whatever we're bringing into our property, whether it's a food forest or a garden or whatever it is. They give so much to us, and it's kind of a way for us to give back to them and to build that relationship. The Garden of Medicine is, I was at market at that time, and I was designing, I was selling teas and herbal blends and things like that. And so I was designing what herbal plants would be around my garden that I was going to use in these. So that's on my property. And somewhere in there, I started working for Food Forest Abundance and as a designer. And I thought, okay, well, if I do some diploma designs on designs I'm doing there, that will help me be a better designer. And I have to admit, I also thought, and that would be an easy way to get a few diploma designs in. Well, it did help me to become a better designer. But the diploma design is a completely separate design than the design we were doing for our clients. I mean, of course, it did give me the content I needed for those diploma designs, but it was much more. And then taking all the confidentiality information about my clients out, and so it didn't make it simpler, but it did make me a better designer and gave me a better understanding of the tools and how to use the principles to tell the story and the ethics. And so those designs were the Peace Bliss Within and the Chiang Rai, Thailand, and the Emerald Acres, Oklahoma. And then that leaves the Embark, Embrace, Ease, which I will talk more about in a minute. But I will say that was the hardest design I've ever done. And I'll explain why. But it's also the one I learned the most from. And then the final one was Our Street. It's a companion guide to the book Our Street by Beck Lowe and David Holmgren. And I'll talk more about that one as well. So the Secret Garden was a very fun design to do, because I was able to do that with the boys. So it was a different experience than other land-based designs that I've done. So it is a small corner in my small property that this garden is in. And at the time, the way that area was fenced, it left that corner exposed to the main road, and the rest of my property is kind of hidden. So once the fence was moved, it enclosed this corner, and it was private. It was also the corner I had no idea what to do with, and so it was a secret to me. So it just became the Secret Garden. And through the Children in Permaculture course, we were playing with lots of different tools. And one of those was random assembly that I was able to do with the boys. And you can see in this upper right picture these windows. That's my sunroom that is all windows and overlooks this corner. The boys and I wrote some elements on Post-it notes and some prepositions, and we were able to put the elements exactly where we thought they should go on the windows, and it looked like they were exactly where they would be in the garden. And then we played with the prepositions. For example, the sandbox that you can see down on the lower right, we said, what if we put the sandbox in the tree? And erupted in giggles. And then we said, how about behind the fence? Well, more giggles, that won't work. How about under the porch? Well, that's not going to work either. How about on the back porch? And suddenly that made sense, and that's where it went. So they were very useful tools in that way. And then we got to doing the design part, and it became apparent we were not going to be drawing it or putting it on the computer. We were doing a model of it. And that kind of freaked me out, because I didn't know what to do and I got stuck. And so I put it off for a while, and then I finally did it. And it was much like those trash and fashion dresses. It was a wonderful artistic exercise that made me think beyond my comfort zone, and I learned a great deal from it. So I have a little, if I can get to it, there's a zoom bar in the way. There we go. Okay, can you see the movie, the little video screen? I don't think the sound is working, but I will show you and get a little video. So this is my model. And that is the sunroom with the windows. And the back porch. Family member fell through the door with a bench and the sandbox. And then the tree by the stairs is a mulberry and has a nature loom in it. And then there was a little center garden you could walk around, and a rain garden. And then over in the corner, there's Oliver playing battle with a bench and the muscadine grapevine and a tic-tac-toe stump. And then to help with water management was a hugelkultur, and then there was a hopscotch path. And the other tree is a box elder. We had a climbing rope in it with a xylophone and a saucer swing and a birdhouse trellis. And then we put in a climbing fort. And then at the bottom of the fort is a science lab and a mud kitchen. And the best part of all was taking out 2 balustrades in the railing for that little secret entrance. So we absolutely loved it. And still the swing and the opening there, you can see the boys peeking their head through the opening. Those are still their favorite elements from that. And that brings me to Embark, Embrace, Ease. And this was that Zone 00 design. And it was all about where I was at in my journey. And at this point, I was desperately trying to get through that gate into my next chapter. And I felt very stuck. And I went in many different directions. And so this was a complicated story to tell and very complicated design to write. I thought it was easy at first because I thought I could just get through the gate, and no, absolutely not. At this point, still not really through the gate. I would say the gate is open and unlocked. So one thing with this design is I kept having to rewrite it because there was not a framework that could help me properly tell the story. So I wrote my own framework after being encouraged to do so during one of the diploma gatherings or diploma group meetings. And so I entitled it Embark, and it did help me to tell the story. I also was able to write a couple or some of my own principles, but actually I didn't write them. They were always there. Just like each of us, we all have our own principles. It's those things that we repeat all the time. And so I discovered those are my principles. And that goal of learning about the principles and making them more a part of how I tell the story was definitely a thing here. And they became a very special point in my life. And this design was kind of a transition in my diploma. And it took about a year and a half to do this design. So I've been working on it for a long time, and it was a transitional moment for this. So one of the principles that became my one absolute favorite is use edges and value the marginal. I really believe that there is magic in edges, and all we have to do is look for it. And of course, we think of edges most commonly as a trellis or maybe a fence line or an edge of a garden. But here in this design, I discovered so many other edges. So this time period is when I bought our camping trailer, and the boys and I started camping and didn't know what we were doing. So that was an edge, and it was very uncomfortable and filled with anxiety, and also lots of excitement. And there was definitely magic in that edge as we leaned into it and explored it. And as we went hiking down different trails, you know, a trail itself is an edge, but it's also immerses us within whatever nature we're hiking in. And so that was a beautiful edge to explore every time. And also my business partner, Chanel, and I were writing a course called Growing Peace. We've been writing it for years, but have been stuck. And during this time, we leaned into that stuckness, which I think is another word for edges, and discovered some magic there. And still haven't finished it, but we jumped a lot farther ahead and realized that course is bigger than us, but we leaned into it. And then I also discovered this painting in the center that is in a forgotten alleyway in my hometown that an artist painted there. And now artists have painted all throughout that alley, and it is now a venue where people come together and they enjoy food together, and they enjoy the art, and they build relationships. It is an edge that was leaned into, and a lot of magic takes place there. And there we go. So a lot of times I got stuck, and different things helped me move forward, such as, and I can't see it because of, there we go. Without the plan, I perhaps would not have so willingly started on the journey. And if I had stuck to the plan, I would have missed a good part of the journey. That has been another guiding light that has helped me move forward. During this design, Lucy challenged me to do a zone map. And a zone map on a land-based design is relatively easy. That's, for those of you who are unfamiliar with zone map, it's based on how often you visit a location or how much maintenance something might need. And zone 0 is yourself, and then you go on all the way up to zone 5. So I was very stuck on this for a long time. I had no idea how to do a zone map on my journey. And then one day it just clicked, and I did the one on the left. And the drawing behind the zone map is what I see in my head. That before the gate, it is lightly forested, and then there's that wooden gate with the little rock wall, then a meadow and a dense forest beyond. And I want to be in that dense forest. So I did my zone map, and I was so proud of myself and was celebrating. And within a few days, I realized something was wrong, that it wasn't right. And I didn't know what to do about it. And then I realized I have myself beyond the gate, and I'm not beyond the gate at that moment. And I had to rethink the whole thing. So it was much more than just squishing the ovals down to be lower on the page. It was rewriting it, rethinking it in my head and in my heart, and accepting where I was at. So, and that's why I have the 2 zone maps here, because for me, it's extremely significant. It brought about a whole new meaning to zones and how to apply them. And I can't say at the moment I appreciated the effort, the request by Lucy, but but it was a great tool. And then my final design is the Our Street Companion. So when I read Our Street to my boys, I realized this beautiful story, a group of stories, is a great foundation for our school year. And so I, at the time, was also talking to a forest school about curriculum or educational content, and told them what I had found, and they wanted to know more. So I wrote out an outline that would apply for myself as well as this school. And the school still hasn't taken place, but they loved it. And I sent it to Brenna Quinlan, the illustrator, because I've worked with her before, and I just wanted to see, is this okay if I do this? And she loved it, and sent it on to Meliador Publishing in Becklow. And so it it's a thing. It's in progress and it's exciting. And so I shared that with Lucy, and she was excited about it too. So we agreed that my final design should be about that. But the design is about how to write it. So again, I thought I could do the design, the diploma design on how to write it. I could write it and I could implement it with my boys this year for our homeschool year, which was way too much. That didn't work. So I had to backpedal a little bit and focus on completing this design. And now I can move forward. But within this design, I needed to start talking to publishers and write a book proposal and all of those things, do lots of research. And there was a lot of interest in there. And so it does seem like it's moving forward. So I will focus this year on finishing writing it and then get back to sharing it with my boys and let them help me write it. And then you can see the chapters over on the left. So there's all the different stories, and if you're unfamiliar with the book, it's the short version of Retro Suburbia by David Holmgren. And it's the story of this strip of land that becomes a small neighborhood or a street with 4 or 5 houses. And it shows here it covers 100 years or so. But before that, there's several pictures about what the land looked like. So it covers a few hundred years of the story of the land, and then how the people that are on it use that land. So I want to include all of those, plus how to schedule, and then bringing in celebrations and other books and things like that. But because that book is Australian based and I'm bringing an American version to it, I want to include all cultures. Well, there's no way I can do that with just what I'm doing for my boys. So I'm writing my example of how I use it as a jumping off place or a inspiration to start your own. And then there's now talk of an online platform where people can come and bring their celebrations and their books that they're using and all that sort of thing. So I'm very excited and nervous about this journey. And then each one has a story planning page that I will complete with my what I am doing, and then but also have them in the book for others to create their own and write their own journey. So resources. I've already covered a lot of what I learned along the way, but those of you who are unfamiliar with the diploma, there's so many resources in there. It's so much deeper than 10 designs. So I just want to show you, I'm not going to read through them because there's a lot, but I just want to show what was used. And it was interesting gathering this information. So this was a chart that Lucy and I used to keep track of each design, what kind of design it was, what the framework was, whose principles I was using, and what design tools I used, which was invaluable, but didn't cover everything. These are the books that I used, that I read, that I researched, referenced, studied, some multiple times in order to complete each and every design. A lot of these are children's books that I used specifically in The Secret Garden and in the final design, but I find there's a lot of wisdom in children's books, so I use them for other things too. And the courses that I took in order to complete my designs, of course, I started with the Children in Permaculture Practitioners course with Lucy and Gaia, and then the Cultural Emergence Effective Design with Luby and John Young, and the Empowered Storytelling. I put Growing Peace on this list. I'm writing that course with Chanel, but of course, when we write a course, we have to take the course multiple times. So I've grown from it and learned from it, so I'm including it. And then the Oregon State University Natural Water Management course. I'm still in the middle of that course, but I did use it on several designs. And then, of course, there was countless articles, recordings, podcasts, websites, all kinds of things. And I know that I've left things off, people off, and but that was quite a bit. And then there was the principles. This is just a fraction of the principles that are out there. These are the principles that I referenced and used to help me tell the story of my diploma journey. And many of these are in my thoughts on a daily basis, that as I walk through my day, I just see them. I see them in different examples, and they constantly teach me as I find a new example and think, oh, I never thought of it that way before, but thank you. And recently I was hiking in the forest, and I was there for what I call the Council of the Trees. And I was just there for the wisdom that I could receive from a forest. And it didn't disappoint. I still haven't processed everything I learned. But one thing was to whisper. If we want to fully connect and immerse in the nature around us and within the people, because we are also nature, we have to whisper. And it's not just with our voice, it's with our mind, our thoughts, our heart, our body, and our movement. For me, in that moment, it was movement. I had my trekking poles as I was hiking, and I was hiking many miles every day. And as I found myself, the forest was reminding me I was clunking my trekking poles because I was tired, my body hurt, I was grumbling. So I couldn't hear my very favorite wind sound, which is pine trees in the wind. And something stopped me in the forest, and I heard that. I heard that wisdom of whisper. And for the rest of my hike, I was able to be gentle in my step and in my setting my poles down and in my spirit. And then I was able to see incredible things there and examples of the ethics and the principles. And so a lot of these, most of these are in my heart, these principles, and I consider a lot of them even my friends. So what is next on the path? For me, I've done my training, my first level of training to be a diploma tutor. So I'm very excited to now focus on that. And also looking to build a diploma college, another option for here in the US or in North America, and working with a group on that within an international college with the support of the Permaculture Association. I'll continue working with Feed Forest Abundance, where I'm head of installation, and I'm building an installation network, and absolutely love that. And then working with a group of designs and wonderful people who we call the Freedom Farm Academy, and they are demonstration sites. So I love working with them and helping them find their next step in their journey. And then I'll keep writing the companion guide and the growing piece and homeschooling my grandsons, which is an awful lot. So, but I just keep, taking the next step. That's all we can do, right? There's so many great and wonderful things that come into play, and all we have to do is lean into it, and the next step will present itself. So I, again, really appreciate you giving me your time and energy for this hour. I really appreciate it. And one thing that I want to leave you with is, and give back to you, is this question: what is through your gate? So I hope that you'll take that. I invite you to take that and think about it. And maybe it's not a gate for you. Maybe it's a pathway, or I don't know, but just to think about it. And then what does your gate represent? Somebody asked me recently, does that gate even exist? And if it does, what does it represent? And so I spent 2 hours hiking one day just thinking about that. Maybe she's right. Maybe it doesn't exist. What is it? And what I found was it does exist. it is virtual, but it does exist, and it looks a certain way for a reason, and every plank on that gate means something. So as I work through whatever I'm at in my life, some of those planks come off. So I'd say my gate looks different now than it did at the beginning. My gate is no longer locked, like the very first slide. It's a picture of the gate and it's closed. And that was the way it was. And now my gate is open. So it was an interesting way to think through that. So I invite you to think through it as well. What is through your gate? So I want to very much thank Lucy for all of your guidance, for your challenges, for your cheering me on, and for your friendship. I'm very grateful to everything I've learned from you. And I want to thank Carla for doing my final review. Very much appreciate you doing that for me, and my peer review group. Thank you. Thank you for giving that energy, and for the feedback that I received from you, and for all, of course, my family, and all of their support, and my friends. I couldn't have done any of this without all of you, and I'm so grateful. So I probably rushed through that. But we have about 20 minutes. So I want to stop sharing and open it up to questions and comments and just chat and whatever else. Thank you for listening to me and for letting me share my story with you.
Wow, Annette, thank you so much. It's just so beautiful. Oh, it's so great to see your daughters. I hadn't seen those pictures before. And oh, it's just a really beautiful overview, and it barely skimmed over the surface. There's this really big, deep pond, and you just skimmed along the surface, and there's so much depth to all those designs. But you can tell by the little ripples on that you showed us there, and the different design tools that you've used, and it was a great way to highlight all those different aspects. So I love seeing your kit video again. That was great to see that. So lovely. So inspiring, Sophie said.
Oh, thank you, Lucy.
So the standard protocol is to invite anyone who's on the peer review group to ask any questions. So I think that's Helen, Emma, Cormac, Bess, my other Annette, and Joanna. I think. If any of you have any questions, Bess, you have your hand up. Excellent.
I mean, just wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful. I was really lucky that I was able to go through your portfolio, and it's just phenomenal. And your presentation, I'm resonating with a lot of that, so that was beautiful too. And so I have to ask you a question. Okay. Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to do that. And you know, one of the things I noticed in your you might have gone. There's a lot of words in your portfolio. So
I know.
One of the things you said. One of the things you said was you didn't like land-based designs. You said at the bottom of it. Does that still hold true?
No, I actually do very much love land-based designs, but I am more drawn to people-based. So even in my work with Food Forest Abundance, I do love the design work I do there, but I was a design team lead for a while. I loved working with the designers, and now I work with our installers, and I love designing what that network is going to look like and building a path of success for them. So I feel like I'm a seed planter within the people care ethic, within the earth care ethic, and helping people through their gate. That's kind of where I feel like I'm at. But no, I do love land-based designs. There's just something about
I thought when I read it, I'm thinking that doesn't hold true now once I've looked through the rest of the portfolio. But yes,
No.
thank you, and thank you for the gate analogy. I will think about my gate. Thank you very much.
Great. I love that. Thank you, Bess. Yes, I enjoy seeing the dogs too. Can I get a copy of the chat because I can't read everything, but I sure want to see it. That'd be wonderful. Thank you all.
Technical thing, but yes, I can do that, and I'll read it out if we have, assuming we have time at the end.
Okay.
Okay, Helen, and then Emma.
Yeah, just a couple of questions I was going to ask. One, if you were to give anyone else some advice while they were doing their diploma, what would that advice be?
I would say lean in and spend a lot of time with your tutor and with that wisdom. Maybe some of the other groups, there's a lot of wisdom there as well, to just be vulnerable and share where you're stuck, that sort of thing. And then find the place where you can unlock your thoughts or hear your thoughts best. For me, that's walking specifically in a forest. I record my thoughts and then I listen to them on my way back. And I'm always astounded at what I said because I can't hear it when it's in my head. So all of those, and then I guess one more would be to try everything. Try all the different possibilities. Don't get stuck in one pathway. Challenge yourself.
That's fantastic. Really good. And the other quick question is just because I'm a big fan of zoning. And I use it in a personal way all the time, and I find that really useful. Now you've actually used it in a non-land based way, would you think about using that again? I know it's hard.
I use it all the time.
Now it's become part of your toolbox.
Yes, I just needed to get past my stuckness, but yeah, I use it all the time. I use the zones, I use principles of ethics, and I use the design web. Yeah, I use those in everyday life.
Brilliant. Thank you. I love reading through your designs and seeing your presentation. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Helen. It's good to see you.
Yeah, lovely to see you.
I'm amused by that when you said you weren't thanking me for giving you the task.
No, I really wasn't. But I am now.
Emma.
Thanks. Annette, it was a real privilege to read through your 10 designs. They were absolutely incredible. There was lots of writing, there was lots of beautiful photos as well. And as a home educator, I really enjoyed seeing your boys involved in things and all of that. Just fantastic. So I had two quick questions. I think the first one, again, was about your land-based designs are really sort of professional, client ready. And then your personal designs are really deeply personal and so artistic. And I wondered which one you preferred doing.
I really do prefer doing the more personal, people-based designs because I can go down deep. The land-based is wonderful. I do love that. And I'm able, especially when I'm able to connect with the land. But at least in my work as a designer with clients, it feels just more of a professional area. But when I can connect with them and help them find something deeper, then it transitions more into that people side of things that I love. So you're right, and thank you for noticing that. But I do feel like I can give more of myself and find more of myself when I'm doing a more people-based design.
And so Embark was my favorite design out of all of them. I really, really enjoyed reading that. It really moved me, actually. And I'm wondering if you're still using that framework. Have you used it again? Do you plan to?
I haven't used it again yet, but I do go back and look through it and think it through because I do want to use it again. And so I test it on different things to see if it fits. And I think it is it was very specific in helping me tell a complicated story. And so I think that is where it would fit. And so, yes, I would use it again.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Emma.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, there.
Joanna. Is Joanna there?
I think she froze.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to her.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, you're there. Joanna, you want to unmute?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Cormac, did you have any questions?
No, I love the presentation. It's great storytelling.
Thank you.
Just love the personality in it. So for me, starting a diploma, it seems like an awful lot of work. And it's like, oh no, I have to do all that. So basically, any advice to get over that big hump of seeing all this work to do?
Don't let any of that hold you back, Cormac. And you don't have to, you can put into it what you are able to. And I only wanted to show that because of how much I felt like I had put my heart into it. And then realized all of those things did come into play. But you do what works for you. And I know that you will still end up putting in all of that, but it is such a joy. And there's so much that you receive back. There's so many gifts involved in that, that I've tried several times to go off to university and I have plenty of credits but never received my piece of paper saying I completed it because I don't learn that way. But here I'm not only receiving that, but I received so much more. And not that you don't there, but for me, this was a better way of learning. And I just encourage you to take one step at a time, and you can do it. And then you will just find that you are fascinated by something and you'll go explore it. So don't let me overwhelm you, because I was extremely wordy. I know that. I got called on that a few times. It's very hard for me to dial that back, but you're going to do great.
I thought it was great, Brian. I think I've got to know you more in the last hour than I have the last 2 years.
Yes, that's true. Cormac and I also work together in food forest abundance. And he's right. Just recently, we've been able to talk more. And so this is great. Thanks, Cormac.
Thank you.
Is Joanna back? Can anyone else see that she's back? I can't see her.
I don't see her.
No. Okay. Hannah, you wrote a question and a comment and a question. Would you like to say it out loud? Or shall I read it? You're not available now.
Yeah, I just undid my turned off my camera rather than my voice. That was clever. Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing, Annette. And just a massive admiration for the amount of work you've done and completing such lovely designs. I really loved the gate analogy, and when you invited us to identify our gates, and then when you said about someone asking if the gate even existed, I kind of exhaled loudly to myself, kind of like, that's lovely. So yeah, I really loved that moment. And I think one question that I had has already kind of been answered already, was about having completed 2 portfolios. You know, what words of wisdom could you share with people who are starting or are stuck? But the other question I had was around having done 2 different diplomas in 2 different systems, whether you had any kind of thoughts or reflections around the 2 different systems, and whether there's what lessons could the British system learn from, was it the American system that you did the other diploma in?
It wasn't, the first one was not through a system. It was basically, I homeschooled for it. So it was, I was asking questions about it, and I just didn't identify with the American system. And so I was trying to find another way. And I was introduced to my mentor for that one, and her name was Bright Sky. And she's American living in Australia. And So we started talking, and she encouraged me and challenged me to do it on my own. And so I did, and it was a very difficult journey because I had no idea what I was doing, but it was exactly what I needed for my need at the time. And at the end of it, I knew I wanted more. I had met Lucy, and I had been able to explore what the diploma looks like with the Permaculture Association. And I identified with that and very much love that and appreciate that. And so that's why I chose to move forward with this one, and now to tutor with the Permaculture Association. So I think it all stems on what your vision is for your educational path at that time, and what fits the best. But I do hope to bring that example of what I received through the Permaculture Association to North America, and just have that alternative, that where it was very much just supporting me in my journey. I'm not saying that very well because the other one does that too, but there's just something a little bit different that I just resonated with, and it's very similar to how I homeschool. And so anyway, I don't think, did I answer your question, Hannah?
I think so, but you also gave just such a lovely answer. And yeah, I'm excited by you becoming a tutor, because it's just really clear that you are such a natural educator. It's really lovely the way you communicate what you've been through, and the stories with it is great.
Oh, thank you, Hannah. I appreciate that.
So Joanna's reappeared and put it in the chat, but do you want to say it out loud, or do you want me to read it, Joanna? Okay, I'll read it.
Okay.
So Joanna's saying, I'd like to thank you for a very thoughtful story of design journey and personal growth within the diploma. Our Wi-Fi is shaky due to strong winds in southern Spain. Joanna appreciated your leaning into stuckness, and have a question. How did you interact with a 3D model as part of your secret garden design? Was it worth creating a mini scale representation? How was it different to other land or space designs which you did in 2D with the paper-based?
Thank you, Joanna. That's a good question, because I found it very difficult to do that, and to bring in the elements, and to think through, how do I represent the element that I want with something that I have on hand. And I have to say, I don't do that for clients because it was very time consuming. So I don't do that for them, but I loved it very much because my hands were involved in it. I felt like, I mean, of course, that particular design was right out my door, so I could stand in it. But even if I couldn't have, my hands are in it, and I looked at details differently than I would on the computer screen, or if I had drawn it. And it gave it so much depth and texture that I did shift things around based on doing that design. And I recognize things, like I would be working on it, and then I'd have to think, I have to go look at that again because that's not working. And so I'd have to go either outside and look at it, or look at a picture or whatever, and then go back to it. So it gave me a different depth of detail. That's a good question. Thank you.
That's so great, Annette. It looks like I think that's the last question. Is there anyone not in the peer review group who wanting to say something? There's loads of amazing comments in the chat. But
I saw them coming through, and I very much want to read all of them and spend time with them. So
I didn't say anything, but just
okay.
Congratulations. I only got the email about 20 minutes beforehand, so I haven't looked at all the designs, but I'm looking forward to it, and well done.
Thank you. Thank you, Annette.
Annette, meet Annette. I've been wanting to introduce you for ages.
Yeah, we've had a very similar journey by the look of it as well. So
that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, from the homeschooling our artist right through the KIP and everything. So
oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk more.
Yeah, you should.
Absolutely.
Ista says, are the designs published on the association website? Good question.
Oh, no, not yet. I was just trying to finish. I will get on that.
Yeah, do upload them. Yeah, it's a good reminder. So well done for reminding us to do that.
Thank you. Yes, yes, absolutely. I'll get that done in the next few days.
Great. We've got a really exciting moment now. I would like to, I've poured this. It's not ishgava, it's actually birch sap, which I kept from the tree because it's wonderful spring, together with Woodhaven's fruit syrup. And I'd like to toast you.
Oh,
Congratulations. Anyone got anything to toast Annette with?
some water or tea.
Water, tea, coffee, Santa. Cheers.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's just wonderful.
Thank you so much. It's a
Annette,
very special day.
sorry to bust in. I'm just going to wave this very exciting piece of paper, if you can
Ooh.
see. This will be winging its way to you via Lucy very soon. So this is your certificate. So it's official now. But thank you so much. It was a real privilege to witness your presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kath. Oh, thank you for showing me that. I can't wait to have it.
Great.
And I will show everyone. Every meeting I go to, I'll say, hi, look what I have. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So yeah, this is me shaking your hand. Well done. Give you a hug.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
One of the beauties of this is also we've never actually been in the same physical room.
No, we haven't. And actually, during Children in Permaculture, I met my business partners for family permaculture, Alan and well, I already knew Chanel, but we met Alan there, and we've been in business together ever since, and still haven't met Alan. I've met his mother, but not him. So I'm hoping to come to the gathering in Wales. So maybe I can meet several people there. Oh.
Okay. So it is time